All right, we're going to get started. I think there are going to be a few more people trickling in. But welcome, everyone. How many of you were at our September 25th meeting, Naperville's coal problem and what we can do about it? All right. How many of you was that your first meeting? Awesome. Thank you for coming out again. That's really exciting to have you here. So for those that don't know me, I'm Kathy Clarkin, and I'm co-chair of NEST. And so tonight, as we said, we're going to give a brief overview of NEST, and then we are going to have reports from each of our committees. So NEST is a big volunteer organization. We have 11 committees, 10 committees, something like that, quite a few. So you're going to hear from them what they're doing, what their goals are, what they hope to achieve, and if you're interested, how to get involved. And then we're going to kind of sum up what our big priorities are coming up for the next year, have some announcements, and then, as we said, we're going to have an open house for the last half an hour. So you can go around and talk to members of each of the teams, learn more, and if you're interested, how to get involved. So, can you see from there? All right, welcome. All right, so these are our committees that you're going to be hearing from tonight. We have these 5 major committees around different areas that we have strategies for: energy, building and development, transportation, waste, and natural resources. And then these committees up here are more about taking that information, that research that happens in those committees and getting it out to the public, getting it to our elected officials, to our school districts, and then we, of course, have a youth team as well, and we have a representative here tonight that's going to talk about that. So I'm not going to read the mission statement, but the purpose of NEST really is to advise our city government on sustainability and greenhouse gas reduction. That is why we exist. We are an advisory body to the city. But we also have a mandate to help educate and advise our citizens and our other government entities like our schools and park district. Any questions about that? So it can be a little bit confusing who we are because we're not a nonprofit, we're not a government entity, we're fully independent. So that can kind of be confusing to people, but yeah, we work independently. Our ideas are ideas based on research. We are very evidence-driven and fact-driven organization. So yeah, any questions about that? So again, what we focus on as NEST is policy. We know that to tackle the climate crisis, that we need system and policy change. Our individual actions are important, but they're not really going to move the needle significantly on greenhouse gas reduction. So we work for policy change. And we also work on the side of education and engagement. So for the homeowner, the individual, the business, what can they do also to help with greenhouse gas reduction? And we do focus mostly on climate and reducing our carbon pollution, because when you do that, you bring along all sorts of other good things with it, like job creation and financial savings and cleaner air and healthy lifestyles. So our focus is on climate because it's really important, but it also brings along all these other good things. I feel like I did not finish that slide. I was teaching third graders this morning out in outdoor ed, and I was going to go back to this. But we do, you know, our values, I'll just say what's up there. So our values are constructive problem solving. We're not like people that go out and rally or sign petitions or things like that. We want to work with folks to solve problems. So we try to stay positive, solution-oriented, you know, for a positive vision instead of against something that we don't like. And then I put diversity and inclusion in here because we want to value everybody's opinions on these things. You know, we want to be democratic. We want folks to have a say, all the different stakeholders. And, you know, we want to find better ways to involve with people who are impacted by these things. All right, so that brings us to our committee updates. And our committee chairs have no idea what order I put these in, so it will be a surprise to everyone. And up first, we have Amy. Put down your knitting.
Right, Amy.
I'm just going to pick it right back up. Can everybody hear me okay?
Here, can you wear this for the recording? Thanks.
Yes. Okay. Just hold it? Okay. Which is good, because every time anybody puts a microphone in front of me, I'm always like, I don't know, spitting on it or something. It doesn't work. So, hello, my name is Amy Phillips. I am the chair of the Natural Resources Committee, and our focus, as far as policy goes, we like working with the city when it comes to having a healthy, diverse tree canopy. So anything we can do to advise them on different ways to foster our tree canopy, you know, making sure that we have as many oaks as possible. We've got a table over there. It's Oaktober, so for those of you that have kids, this is the celebration of oak trees, which are the most, they are a keystone species of our region. And so we are celebrating October, so there's a little scavenger hunt and some crayons over there in case anybody has kids and wants to take them home. So diverse tree canopy. We are also really advocating with the city for replacing turf grass with deep-rooted biodiversity, fostering and attracting native plants. So those are the things that we like to talk about. The reason why is because your turf grass really doesn't do a whole lot for the region. It doesn't attract the pollinators. It doesn't hold water really well. I mean, there's a lot of things that these deep-rooted prairie plants do that are really important, and I know I've got to go faster. Policy, the last one was, getting rid of the noisy, gas-polluting, chugging lawn equipment. So those are 3 policy. As far as what we're looking for everybody today, we are actually really focused today on highlighting some of the really amazing community partners that we have. Again, we are working with the city. If anybody has an expertise in natural resources and wants to join us and really kind of help us as we advise the city, please let me know about that. We'd love to have you on our committee. But those of you that are interested in just getting involved and getting your hands dirty, there's a lot of options over there. I think I might have talked too long. So thank you.
Thank you. Beth.
I will say, one of the reasons we organized this meeting is because we had such an emphasis on energy at our last meeting. We want you to hear about all these other things too. Can you grab the mic? Thanks.
Oh, it's a mic. Okay. I'm Beth Schwartz. I'm the chair of the waste team. And the waste team, my message is kind of a little bit different. It's less about reducing carbon emissions with waste, because while it does have carbon emissions, they're minimal compared to some of the other groups here. But it's more about retaining the livability of the planet for humans. Or I wrote this down and it sounded so good. So carbon emission reduction is about retaining the livability for humans on our planet, but waste is more about the stewardship of our planet and its resources, somewhat about the livability, say from a sanitation perspective, with some carbon emission savings. So since 2010, Naperville has generated 52 to 57,000 tons of waste per year from our homes. Since that time, they've had a goal of getting to 40% recycling of that waste. And we started out at 30%. It kind of went up and down for a while, and then the last 5 or 8 years, somewhere in there, it's been slightly down every year. Right now, we're at 25.8% recycling in 2022. So that's one of our goals, is to increase the recycling rate, and that's going to have to be a lot of education of the public. And that is just, those numbers are just for residential properties. So the city has no program for multifamily, no waste or recycling program for commercial restaurants, institutions like Edward Hospital. So it also would be ideal if we could figure out some way to get them to recycle more or some. So let's see. We also have in our goals develop and incentivize a circular economy, a more reusable culture. So we have some things back there on our table that are just examples of that. We also want to promote the reduction of single-use plastics. And I don't know if any of you saw in the paper last week, City Council has tasked us with providing them a report on single-use plastic bags, basically. The Mariano's thing where they're getting rid of all their plastic bags. They want to know facts and figures of, what it would take, what other cities and counties have done. So that would be one way to get involved, is help us with that. And then another one of our big goals is to create and employ a community education and engagement campaign. And we motivated the city to apply for a recycling education grant that they still have not heard back from US EPA on that. It's part of the ARP funds. So if that comes to be, that would be a huge way you could help get involved with that education effort. So the waste team meets the second Wednesday of every month. We meet on Zoom right now. It's just easier for everybody. And we email out a link a day or two beforehand, so you can sign up at our table to get on that email list. And we'd love to talk to you more about our goals. Thanks.
All right. Transportation. We have Tom Craighead. Come on up. Somebody else can talk about the EV stuff.
Okay, that would be good. So the transportation group the primary goal is to get people out of cars, period, and be able to bike or walk or use public transportation. But it's also to use more electric vehicles. And I think there's somebody who can probably talk more about EVs than I can. And I know, Kathy, you're working on public transportation. If you've got anything to add? Okay. Yeah. As you can imagine, Naperville does not have a whole lot of public transportation. So the area I'm going to talk about is the area that I actually work in, which is biking and walking, and really encouraging people to do that. So one of the things that we did just a few weeks ago is work with District 203 and 204 to get, especially the elementary schools, to get people walking and biking to the school. So it was an event, and these are some pictures that I took of people going to Scott School, and you can see there's quite a crowd of people there, and you probably can't see it from here, but Allison Longenbauer, our council person, is there. But when we finally got to the school, the drop-off lane for carpoolers was empty. There were very few people that actually drove their kids to school that day. But someone told me that someone didn't want to be shamed, so they drove their kids to within 2 blocks or a block and then let them out. But they didn't want to get caught in the lane. So that was really amazing. We had 14 elementary schools in Naperville and Aurora in 203 and 204. Some of the other areas that we're working in is working with the city of Naperville, especially the Transportation Engineering and Development Group, to update our pedestrian and cycling plan, because the last time they engaged a consultant was a quarter century ago. So I sort of said, because I had worked on those things about 20 years ago and wanted to get back in improving the network. And then we're also working both the city and the park district, especially for safety. And one of the things that our group did was a survey of bikers and walkers in the city and understanding what some of their issues are and their comments on where they feel safe or don't feel safe. So next slide. Thank you. So we'd love it if you would join the Transportation Committee. But on the other hand, there were really some bite-sized small tasks that you could do even tonight. So one is just signing up to be on the email list, so you'll keep track of what's going. But our table is over there, and I've got a stack of Post-it notes. And so if you could answer the question, is there someplace you want to bike or walk that currently has a physical or a safety barrier? Because I know I live where I can get to Market Meadows, but I have to do the last block on the sidewalk. And it's a narrow sidewalk, and it's overgrown with bushes and everything like that. So if you can talk about that. And so there's one for biking and one for walking on that. Also an area, because when we did the survey, we were asking a lot about safety and got a lot of information about how people feel on the multi-use paths. And it was not too surprising that the slow walkers don't like the fast walkers, and the fast walkers don't like the slow cyclists, and the slow cyclists don't like the fast cyclists. And people will be zooming by and not calling out there, though the Director of Transportation Engineering Development came up with an idea. He said, we'll kind of be out there and patrolling, and if somebody doesn't ring a bell or call out, we'll go get them and we'll give them a bell. And we'll mount it on their handlebars right there and encourage them to use it. Some of the other things are just looking at intersections. Particularly, there's one at Bailey in Washington. If you're familiar with that, if you're going west on Bailey and you want to turn to go north on Washington, you can't see until you're like over the stop line, over the crosswalk, and then you can finally look to be safe that there's nobody coming. So just identifying situations like that, I think, are important. As well as one of the areas that I went on sidewalks got really overgrown, and it's an ordinance violation. And the city has a website where you click and you can report an ordinance violation. And they did take action really quickly, and the bushes got trimmed. So this is another thing. If you're biking a lot, if you're using Google Maps, is anybody biking and using Google Maps? Okay. I was up actually in Bolingbrook, and I knew a perfectly safe way to get to where I live near Royce Road by going through paths and forest preserves. But Google Maps wanted me to ride across Weber, and I'm not sure I would have lived. So that's just something, and Google is usually pretty good if you tell them. So these are just some bite-sized tasks that you can do, and you can even do them this evening. That to Kathy, beyond Kathy, is our table where it would be great if you could just use one of the Post-its and write down some of your concerns. Okay? Thank you.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Are you doing anything to promote electric school buses or,
Yes.
or more public charging stations for EVs?
I'm glad you asked that question.
So we have a specialist who's not here tonight. His name is Bruce Jones. He is on that stuff, okay? And that's really a big piece of what the Transportation Committee does. You've heard about biking and walking, but EVs is really an important piece, and you've just hit one of the important objectives that that team has, and that's promoting the use of electric school buses. And the good news is that District 203, which not too long ago was saying, we're not so sure about that, they're buying 4. Okay, and it's probably in part because of maybe some influence that we give. We'd like to take some credit for that, right? So 204 you said, right? Yeah, 204 as well. They use a contracted service, but they're headed in that direction too. So EVs are a reality, right? You will see some statistics on a slide that I will show later, just kind of about the progress that we're making in Naperville. But EV adoption in Naperville is one of the highest per capita. In fact, I think it's the highest per capita in the state. Okay, so is that because of us? Yeah, sure. But this team is clearly, headed by Bruce, driving toward driving. Look at that. Pun intended, not intended. That towards advancing EVs and things like charging infrastructure, and moving towards that. We have some good stories and we have some bad stories about charging infrastructure, but things like pushing the city to advocate and go for grants. There's a lot of public money available now for charging stations, and so advocating and supporting that and going there with it. So EVs, luckily, are a reality. EVs have taken hold, and the world is going there, and we're riding that wave and kind of pushing that wave as well. So I think that's the EV story. So who's next, Kathy?
We have Craig.
Why, thank you. All right, hello there. My name's Craig Schneider. I'm co-chair of the Building and Development Committee. My partner in that is a woman by the name of Barbara Benson, who is traveling out of the country tonight. Otherwise, she'd also be here. The two of us kind of have a joint, conjoined, I probably should say, approach to who we are, what our background is in Naperville and in development, specifically in Naperville. And so we try to address what needs to be done based on our professional and personal experience, as well as that of some of our other committee members. Our committee meets the fourth Wednesday of the month via Zoom, 7:30. If you sign up, I'd be more than happy to put you on our committee mailing list to receive any information about upcoming meetings or some of the things that we're trying to achieve or some of our past successes that we may still be discussing. Along those lines, some of those have been more recently trying to further develop relationships with city staff as well as elected officials. We've spent a lot of time trying to, I didn't know there were people behind the column. Hi. We've spent a lot of time trying to move forward with what we thought would be the appropriate direction for the city and advising city staff and elected officials, and weren't always met with a reciprocal amount of enthusiasm. So what we're trying to do now, and what we have tried to do, is develop the relationship so that way there's trust. So that way there's someone on the other end of the phone who's willing to pick it up and listen. So the next main goal that we have advising the city as well as the residents is we're going to do our best to encourage city council and city staff to adopt the stretch codes. 2021's CEJA allowed for individual municipalities to, for the first time, implement a building code that was stricter than the state mandated energy code. And what that is it's called a stretch code. That stretch code will ultimately kind of put us on a varying path to what the state's building code or energy code is, to where we can hopefully off-ramp that at net zero new construction. So we are going to do our best to advise and educate City Council in the coming, at least about the coming 9 months or so until this code is available for adoption. And then we will reassess and certainly continue to be an advocate for reducing greenhouse gases in Naperville and the surrounding area. So I've got a lot of goodies, toys, equipment. If you have any questions, come on over, and would love to talk to anybody.
Everybody go over and ask Craig what that is if you don't know what it is.
Thank you.
All right, Maureen, you're up. And I have your slides here if you want to just arrow.
Yeah, I'll just do a couple of them instead of, I gave you
Okay.
too many.
Okay, sure.
All right, so, oh, this is the microphone. I
Yes.
tell you when you need to
Yeah,
advance.
you can
Okay,
just hit the arrow.
all right, thank you. I'm Maureen Stillman. I'm chair of the Energy Committee. We meet every other Tuesday at 7:30. We're on Zoom. We'll always be on Zoom. I'm not moving off of it. So even if you want to just stop by for half an hour, that's fine, or drop in. That's one of the things I like about being on Zoom. And this community, it has very gifted people and very passionate people that come to this energy meeting. So it is really amazing to live in this community. You know, all kinds of people who have worked at Fermilab, Argonne, et cetera. Kathy actually works at Fermi. So we have a great team, and be happy to have you join us. Or you can just join the mailing list and see what we're talking about, what we're up to. That's fine too. However you want to participate is great. So I was very happy to see a show of hands. A lot of you did come to the meeting that we held in September, so that you saw my longer talk. I have a few of the slides here from that. I will just go over a couple of them again for anybody who wasn't there. For the rest of you, it'll be a review. The headline is that so much of our carbon pollution is from our electric utility. And you can see there it's 55%. So it dwarfs everything else, and vehicles are next. The Transportation Committee is looking at that, of course. But it really is by far our biggest polluter. And a lot of the reason is because of the amount of coal we're burning. So our electricity comes from the Illinois Municipal Electric Agency. In 2022, we spent $105 million. So it's really important to look at these numbers. They're big. And this is our money, right? This is the business money and our residential money. We bought 1.3 million watts of hours. We have a contract that was signed in 2007. It doesn't end until 2035, and it requires us to buy all of our power from this agency. And the reason why we had this meeting last month and that the Energy Committee is really focused right now, the IMEA is going to ask our City Council to sign an extension that would roughly go 10 to 15 years. So when you multiply that out, you do the math, this extension is going to exceed $1 billion. So we should be paying attention to a contract of that magnitude, because that's what it's going to end up being. So that's kind of the background of what we're looking at now. And then this is just a pie chart of, in the United States, what percentage we have of energy in different sources. So of course, clean energy is what we favor at the top. We've got renewables, nuclear and hydro. And then the fossil fuels, those are the high carbon emitters, coal and natural gas. So you can see over there that the mix of clean energy is 22 plus 18. So that's the clean energy, and then the rest is dirty energy. And then, of course, the highlight is what ours looks like. And the amount of coal is really shocking. So it's been this way for over 10 years. We've been burning this much coal. We've already spent $1 billion. We're doing another 105 million every year. This has been an ongoing problem ever since we signed this contract. Okay, so it's 50% of our electricity comes from Prairie State. That's a coal plant in southern Illinois. 27% comes from another coal plant in Trumbull County. And another complication is that we actually own these two coal plants. So we're not just consumers, we're actually owners. And ownership equals liability. If you own something, it's a whole different ballgame than I'm just a consumer purchasing, a service, for example. So that's kind of what the landscape looks like. We have 10% renewable energy and 1% hydro, giving us 11% clean energy. And then 10% we just buy from the short-term market. So that's what it looks like today. And this I also talked about how much of a problem it is to burn coal. So this is Prairie State is the biggest polluter in the state of Illinois, and it's on the top 10 list in the U.S. So it's doing 13 million tons of CO2 per year. And then it emits all these gases, these poisonous gases that cause lung and heart disease. And then finally, we have this coal ash pond, which again, I've talked about liability. When this shuts down, we are potentially liable to clean that up. So we also own the coal ash pond, which is over 1 square mile, and it's being added to at a rate of 2.3 million cubic yards per year. So it's kind of, the numbers are so big, it's actually kind of hard to wrap your head around that. But that's where it is. And there's a picture, and this is the square mile that we own. We are proud owners of that thing. And that's what will have to be cleaned up when this plant shuts down. So now, I'm not going to do my whole talk from last time, but I went on to talk about things like carbon capture. We'll not do that again tonight. So what I want to talk about is what is the Energy Committee going to work on? What do we need? And probably the number one thing we need, and even if you join some other committee, I would really love for all the people in this room to write the city council and say, we don't want this contract extension. Just say no to this extension. Sure. Excellent. I appreciate it. And then, talk to your friends and neighbors to raise awareness. One of our biggest problems is people don't know. People don't know about this. And if you bring it up, people are more receptive to hear it than they were, say, when we started this 4 years ago. And that's responded 4 years ago. Then another thing we want to do is develop energy integrated resource plans. So what's that? Well, at a high level, you saw the pie chart with the mix. It's developing a plan for that mix or vision. What do we want that to look like? Obviously, we want less coal. What do we want instead? So we need to talk about that. Holding public hearings on the contract renewals and the integrated resource plan. So the last time this contract was signed in 2007, the City Council and the IMEA had between 10 and 12 closed meetings. And then there was a public meeting and it was signed. So that's how it went last time. We don't want that again. We want open hearings and we want them to be public so that that doesn't happen again. That's really the bottom line. And then if you could support, so there are things going on in the Illinois House. There's a transparency bill which got shot down last time, but it's going to be reintroduced. If you're sort of networked into that, and if you get on our mailing list, we'll tell you when that bill is going to get reintroduced. Then you can write, the State House and say you're in favor of it. It will talk about municipal utility accountability and transparency. So a lot of this stuff is done behind closed doors. We don't have access. There are closed meetings, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody knows the stuff that goes on, and we're trying to fight it in the legislature. So the public utilities have a whole bunch of open requirements on them, but the municipals don't, and that's the problem. So that's what they want to do, is write legislation to kind of match what we have for our public utilities. And then for your house, we have, the city of Naperville has a number of rebates through the Renewable Energy Program. And we discuss energy efficiency. And then there's also all these rebates now through the Inflation Reduction Act. So you can get, the nice thing about solar panels, for example, is you could get federal, state, and Naperville. So there's lots. And thank you for your
One question?
How are things going? What is the chance of this appalling 10 to 15 years?
So we don't know. The IMEA has not yet come and even presented the contract yet. We have to talk to the city council before that, obviously. So it will be presented. We don't know exactly when, but it'll probably be roughly February, March timeframe, sometime in the spring. And then, we've been talking to the city council. We've gone and actually talked to most of them individually now, and we're doing the rest of them. We'll be talking to the rest of them. And really, the best thing is for you to keep writing letters. Keep it front of mind, because if they think that the residents don't care, then they'll just, the IMEA will be there, like they did last time, 10 meetings, meeting after meeting after meeting, saying, vote for this,
Absolutely.
And so we have to do as much as they do, if not more.
Right.
Because otherwise that voice will get drowned out. So there will be a lot of pressure, and the reason why there'll be so much pressure on Naperville is that we're 35% of the IMEA. We're the biggest. So we're the fish they want to go after. And then the other cities are already talking to us. If we sign, the others will sign. So it's really a leadership matter as well, that, if we lead, others will probably follow. So it's unknown at this time. I mean, we're making the case, and you saw at the last meeting that we had in September, we had over 200 people there. That's what we need, is the citizens to come, and then the citizens to write. And you can write a letter every month. That would be ideal. You can write just one letter, but if you wrote every month, that would be even better. And are we sending out, we're going to send out things to ask people to.
Yeah.
I know.
Sorry.
No problem.
All right. Sorry. Bill, where are you? There you are. There's your microphone. Can we do the rest of the questions at the end? Because we want to have time for you guys to be able to walk around and talk to folks. So we do need to move on. Just hit the arrow one.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Bill Simon. I'm the chair of the Community Engagement Committee, and we're really about reaching people. If you're here tonight, you probably heard about the meeting through something that we sent out, but really the challenge is, how do we reach everybody else? There's people out there who maybe don't know much about what's going on. There's probably a lot of people that don't know anything about what's going on with the city, and sorry if I'm walking too much, and the coal and all that. So that's our job, is to reach people. And so to do that, we use some tools. This is social media. Of course, we mainly rely on Facebook. We're starting to use Instagram more, which is to hit a younger demographic. So Instagram is something we're emphasizing. And then we just started a LinkedIn page. So if you're a LinkedIn user, you can follow us on LinkedIn or any of these channels. So again, if you use social media, please follow us. And YouTube is also social media. But then we also do other channels. There's email. People still use email, and it's actually one of the best ways to reach people. So if you are here tonight and you're not on our email list, probably the most important thing you can do is to go over to that computer over there by the community engagement table and sign up for our email list. You can just sign in electronically. We also have somebody who's really good at writing press releases. Believe it or not, press releases are still important because, especially nowadays, there's fewer and fewer reporters. So through a press release, you help the reporter write the information that they need to write a story, and that's part of what we do. And then we also arrange for events. So there's two pictures up here. The one on the left is our is the Naperville Earth Day Festival, which was in late spring, April, I guess. Pardon?
On Earth Day.
On Earth Day, and we had some tables there, and then also we participated in the River Sweep event. So the types of people that we need to do what we do is we need social media volunteers. Right now we have 2 people. We have a third one who is taking a break because of her internship. We need graphic design. We have one person who can do some rudimentary graphic design, but we'd really love to have more graphic design capability. We have this MailChimp email system. It's basically a marketing email system. So like when you get emails from, say, the Morton Arboretum or from some product that you follow, they use a system. We use a similar system called MailChimp, and we need people that can write that content and manage the system. Because right now it's just me. Shouldn't be one person. And then video. We do videos. We have a YouTube channel, and Pat over here helps with YouTube. But you know, if you like to take videos or can edit videos, that would be great. And then also running events. Our meetings are the 4th Tuesday of every month. They're on Zoom. And that's really useful because not everybody on our team lives in Naperville. In fact, one of our social media people is going to school in Washington State. Our next meeting is October 24th. And to sign up for any of these meetings, what you're going to do is go to our webpage, and there's a little tab that says Engage. If you go to there, you'll see it'll say Meetings and Events. And you go there, you'll see a calendar, and you can pick out, you know, whether it's me, sign up for me, or any other event, any other committee. You can pick them out, and there's a link to sign up for that. And that is it for me.
All right, so I forgot to make Pat a slide, so he's operations.
Oh, operations.
Yes. Kind of goes a little bit along with-
Hi, everybody. I'm Pat. I'm with the Operations Committee. And a lot of what the Operations Committee does is the behind-the-scenes stuff. So sometimes it's, we need to make a slide last minute, so let's put one together for the Operations Committee. Or we have somebody who is pacing back and forth and we have to move the camera over. No, but it's sometimes it's that constructive problem solving that we talked about earlier as one of our main goals. It's helping everything else run smoothly for all of our other committees. There isn't one specific thing we do. It can be different on a month-to-month basis, and we try and maximize the talents of who's helping with our committee. So, thank you.
Tech supports, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Rob, you're up next.
Hi, my name is Valla Barun, and I'm the co-leader for the Nest Youth Team. Today I'd like to go over some of the things that the youth team has done, is currently doing, and how you guys can help out. So to begin, I'd like to talk about our Shark Tank-like event we are currently doing called BLAST, which stands for Building Leadership Around Sustainable Transformation. So the way the event works is that any high school student can come up with an idea to solve an environmental problem, and as a result of this, they can receive prize money that can be either used to make their idea a reality or to continue the student's education. There are 2 cohorts for BLAST, and the applications for the first cohort closes tomorrow. So if you know a high schooler that might be interested in this opportunity, we strongly encourage you to for them to sign up. We also are looking for any mentors that could help, that might be interested in helping candidates, and any donations are also greatly appreciated. Last year, our youth team prioritized trying to make our schools more sustainable. So to do this, we talked with our superintendent and other board members to see where we could help. We also conducted a district-wide survey with over 1,700 responses, and then subsequently presented these results in both the 203 and 204 board meetings. This year, we chose to focus mostly on waste and how we can reduce it in Naperville. In fact, one upcoming way that everyone in this room can help out with this goal is by participating in the 4th annual Naperville Waterway Cleanup held on October 21st at Knocknalls Park between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. Additionally, this year, the youth team wants to research the best possible ways to reduce this unnecessary waste and try to get schools on board with these ideas or pass legislation to combat this growing issue.
So I would, even though there are not any other youth in the room, I would encourage you to visit the youth table in the back there. We are going to do that waterway cleanup on Saturday, and it is for the whole community. It's not just a Nest event. So we welcome you to join that. And then also, I'll just emphasize again, we are looking for donors for the BLAST program too. So you can find out about sponsorship back there as well. All right. Oh, I'm up again. Okay, so kind of a sister committee to the youth is our school district engagement committee, which does include both adults and youth. And our main focus really has been working with and communicating with the school district, both 203 and 204, about sustainable building operations. As Carl mentioned, you know, our students successfully advocated for electric school buses in District 203. We meet with their facilities people, their business leadership in both districts to talk about how adding solar, adding energy efficiency, adding LED lighting is going to save money, so they can put that money towards education. So it's mostly just developing those relationships with those key decision makers in the school districts. We have had some efforts to try to also engage more with students, to give presentations, you know, that kind of thing, develop maybe some programming for young students. And that has not really gotten off the ground with this committee, but if that's something that you're excited about and want to contribute, then you're welcome to join this committee on that sort of more curriculum education side. Carl, you're up.
I didn't introduce myself last time. My name is Carl Van. Function. Kathy on that. It's more of a function. Craighead method, who just with his biking work, he just engages with people, and we kind of follow that. But you know, that's wonderful because he's making great progress on the next generation bike plan, I'll say, for the city. Reporting. is what's most important as we look forward to the next power generation contract. Timely, right? It really.
Comments?
Working with the especially as it relates to institutional policy that is necessary for advancing. Let's talk a little bit more about what's important with NEST. Our priorities, in many ways, follows. You've seen this slide already. Maureen had this slide, but this is our problem area right here. That 55% of 25% from vehicles, and 21%. By the way, if you put the natural gas and electricity, buildings. That's why what this gentleman is doing with building codes becomes really important as well, so that we can become more energy efficient. But that kind of sets the stage for what everyone of our team, they're doing their work. IME coal contractors is top of mind. Okay? And our energy efficiency codes, we will be doing more work and trying to get public engagement with our council members, with our city staff, so that we can building codes. And that would be, we figure sometime in the mid-year timeframe next year. And then as the biking plan team.
Initiative.
And as opportunities arise, so you heard about the plastic, right? If we see traction there that we need public engagement, it's going to show up on the chart. So this thing could be fluid, but it's kind of, as you say, what we see today. Okay. We've made progress. Naperville has made progress. This first chart here, as you can see, this is the solar installation chart starting in 2014 up to today. The blue is the brown line. To do that. Made significant progress. That's the capacity of solar installation. This is the by month, the kilowatt hours, and that overall energy bill from IMEA is decreasing. This is a good. Usually up means good. In this case, down means good. That means becoming more. Don't fully understand it yet, but that's a good dynamic. As this gentleman has taught me, is the most important thing to start with as you approach, more carbon neutral, carbon friendly. Okay? I mentioned EV counts in Naperville per capita. We are the largest adopter of EV in Illinois, and you can see the numbers. I don't want this good stuff. That's all. You're on.
Okay, I'm on. All right, so a lot of that, you heard some specifics. Some of it was kind of high level, but this kind of brings it down to how you can get involved. So, you can just, if you're not ready to jump into a committee, you can start with just learning more. Come to our meetings once a month. Next month, I hope that you all come because it's going to be about reducing your own carbon footprint and how you can take advantage of all these economic incentives to do that. So learn, like Maureen said, share, talk to your friends and neighbors about our coal problem, about what your new heat pump, your new EV, whatever, and learn what you can do personally. So that's like kind of one level. The next level is show up. So we have learned from working with the city that just having nice conversations with our city officials and our elected, our elected officials, our city staff, is not enough. Sometimes we need to show that there's a community behind what we're asking. So sometimes we're just going to get on our mailing list and we're going to ask you to show up at city council. And you don't even have to do anything, just sit there. So that's another level of commitment. Next is, start writing letters to council, so that they hear that the community cares about these things. You can also make public comments at council meetings or school board meetings or park board meetings. And then the biggest level of commitment is probably getting involved in one of our committees, participating. Most of our committees meet once a month. The Energy Committee meets every other week. So that is, you can start just by attending, learn more, and then see how you can contribute. And if you have specific skills, in writing or web or graphics or whatever, we can definitely put you to work. And so there are some other just really kind of short-term opportunities. Again, real quick, you can sign up for our waterway cleanup. Tom, you didn't mention this one, but you can make a video of yourself talking about biking in Naperville, and then we can post that to our social media. We have a couple of research projects. If you'd like to do the behind-the-scenes kind of research, you can come talk to me about that. Something that is completely different, again, is the financial support of BLAST, and Vlad also mentioned being a mentor or a judge for our BLAST program. So those are kind of smaller commitments that are time limited. And then we're almost to the end here. Again, our next meeting, I hope that you can come to that, how to lower your own carbon footprint and take advantage of those incentives. And in December, we are going to have a social kind of
Party?
Yeah, we're going to have an end of the year party. Yeah, so we'll figure out something fun to do for that. Maybe we'll have some, I don't know, games or something, good food. So we hope you can join us for that. And then finally, this is going to be my new thing. Every meeting, I'm going to have a quote from Jane Goodall. The greatest danger to our futures is apathy. So I hope that you're inspired to learn more about NEST, to get involved, and I hope that you'll take the opportunity to come around to our different tables and learn more about what we're doing and ask your questions. So thank you, everyone, for coming. That's all we have.